Hello, good morning and welcome to the news on Newday. I am Noble Crosby-Annan. Coming up this morning, waste management companies across the country give government 1 week notice to settle all arrears or proceed on strike. Speaker of Parliament cautions members of Parliament that they could lose their seats if they continue to absent themselves. Also coming up, stakeholders at a constitutional lecture reignite calls for extended presidential term limits. Welcome to the program. We're live on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. Let's settle for the details of the stories. Stakeholders at a constitutional lecture in Accra are calling for a review of Ghana's presidential term of office without delay. Now, they posit extending the term could promote continuity and strengthen the country's developmental agenda. The call was made at a forum organized by the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana in Accra.
Ghana's 4-year presidential term has once again come under severe scrutiny. Governance experts and civil society actors say the limited term restricts long-term development planning and pressures governments to deliver results too quickly. Across the African continent, Ghana remains the only country with a single 4-year presidential term, renewable ones. Experts argue that this structure slows down national progress and weakens policy continuity. Back in 2008, former President John Kufuor proposed extending the presidential term to 6 or 7 years, but the idea was shelved. Now, more than a decade later, the proposal has resurfaced and been submitted to the Constitution Review Commission for consideration.
In South Korea, the Prime Minister has no set terms. And honorable men and women, this is also the constitutional framework that we created at independence. A prime ministerial system where we reward the best leaders on the basis of performance. And we do not sack leaders on the basis of having served 1 term or 2 terms, but persons or leaders were rewarded on the basis of performance. As we speak now, Ghana has got the shortest term limit for the presidency system across the entire Africa. It's only in Ghana and Nigeria where the president is given 4 years to produce magic.
A former head of the civil service, Nane Jekum-Jamina, also backed the call, saying a longer term would promote policy stability and reduce political interference in the civil service.
There are chief directors who've gone through due process. They have passed the interviews. They have not been posted, and there are people occupying chief director positions who have not gone through due process. I don't think that's a matter for the president. It's a matter for the Civil Service Council and it's a matter for the Public Service Commission to deal with. You see, at times we talk of political interference and we put you onto the front. What are we doing about that?
Executive Secretary of CLOCSAC, Isaac Bampuado, expressed concern about the current system where public sector chief executives are appointed solely by the president.
President Atamios, the High Court told him, you have no right to dismiss any civil servant. Odum, and this. They told him, yes, with all due respect, Mr. President, you cannot dismiss any civil servant. 195 says that you appoint or act in accordance with the advice, not your personal reason, or you see someone in a party, peripheral, the way he dances, you like this. No, in accordance with the advice of the council involved.
Meanwhile, Minister for Labour, Jobs and Employment, Dr. Rashid Purple, urged civil and public servants to maintain professionalism and advise political leaders when their actions would disrupt the public service.
There must be fear in the minister to avoid causing trouble. And the person to do it must be the civil servant. Let them know their limits. Don't impose on them things they can easily avoid. This issue about a minister is found to do A, B, C, D is because the person to guard him is complacent himself.
Other speakers at the event, including the Deputy Chief of Staff, Nana Oye Bampuado, emphasized the need for a strong, politically neutral civil and public service to drive Ghana's long-term development goals.
There was a committee And I know the Trades Union Congress had a representative on that committee, and also the Public Services Commission and the Civil Service. So that committee came up with a memoranda which has been submitted to the Constitutional Review Committee on some of the issues that are being discussed presently.
Let's take you to Parliament, because the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Gbagbin, has directed the clerk to Parliament to maintain detailed attendance records of members of Parliament to facilitate disciplinary action against those who are habitually absent without permission. Expressing his displeasure over the growing trend of absenteeism among lawmakers, the Speaker cautioned that MPs who fail to attend plenary proceedings risk sanctions, including the possible loss of their seats.
Before usually I commence proceedings, I always take account of those present. I'm not happy with the situation. I did indicate from the very beginning of this meeting that I have the records of attendance for the first meeting and the second meeting. I decided for good reason not to publish them, but to give you the last opportunity. It looks like that is a catastrophic mistake I made. I should have brought it out and referred members to the Privileges Committee. I thought that was not a good way to start this third meeting. It's like that's encouraged members not to be present. I'm saying this for the last time. I've given directive to the clerks at table to take the records for this meeting, and please, we have the standing orders, we know what they say. We'll be taking action to make sure that we compel members to sit or to be considered to have vacated their seats. This matter, I will say no more.
And away from that, the Environmental Service Providers Association, they say they will embark on a nationwide strike beginning November 7 in protest of government's failure to pay them. Speaking to the media, the Executive Secretary of ESPA, Amoforienfi, said that service providers were on the verge of shutdown due to the mounting financial pressures.
We call on the government to, as a matter of urgency, make payments to avoid a shutdown by the 7th November 2025. We therefore appeal to the government for the immediate release of outstanding payments owed to all waste management contractors by the 7th of November 2025. Without this intervention, service providers may be forced to suspend operations nationwide. ESPA regrets to caution that several landfills and treatment facilities across the country may face imminent shutdown. Such closures would disrupt waste collection services, threaten thousands of jobs, lead to public health crisis, and reverse Ghana's hard-won progress in the sanitation sector and environmental protection.
And now, Ghana's healthcare data system is undergoing a major overhaul as the Ministry of Health has introduced a new digital platform to replace the $100 million long troubled lightwave health information management system. Now, the move comes as the Health Minister, Kwabena Minta, publicly accused the system contractor of underperformance and potentially blackmail.
The Government Accountability Series, Kwabena Minta Akando announced the procurement of a new platform, the Ghana Health Information Management Systems GIMS. This new system is central to a 4-week plan aimed at resolving the widespread disruptions and delays that have plagued the electronic healthcare management system, forcing many hospitals to revert to manual operations.
The contract was meant for 3 years and extended for 5 years for 950 facilities, and you have only delivered 450 facilities. Clearly, nobody needs to tell you that the company underperformed. 2 weeks or so, the system has been completely down. If this is not blackmailing, I don't know what it is. The medical records of Ghanaians will never go back to the manual way.
The minister attributed the system failure to the poor execution of the contract awarded to the company behind LIMS. Government signed a $100 million contract with Lightwave to connect 950 health facilities nationwide. A subsequent forensic audit of the project uncovered severe financial and operational irregularities. Government has moved to develop the new database that will be owned by the country and serve its health needs at a cost of $50 million.
I am confidently announcing to the good people of this country that we have a 4 weeks plan that will get us out of this mess. The software and how we can own the software, the integration, and the middleware. That's what we're dealing with. So we are building on the infrastructure. The infrastructure has already been established. And so we are not going to go back to buy new laptops and what have you. So where we are, when you look at the details of the contract, how much it costs the state to do what we are going to do, we are going to use half. We are going to use half of what they use to do what we are going to do. So I can assure you that is value for money.
In the meantime, climate experts have called for urgent action against illegal mining in the country, adding that future and current generations are at serious risk. This was contained in a communique issued at the Second International Conference on Environment, Social and Governance as well as Sustainable Development of Africa.
The Second International Conference on Environment, Social Governance and Sustainable Development of Africa assembled scholars, policymakers and youth advocates to chart a new ESG-focused path for the continent. The overarching theme, From Cradle to Cradle, putting ESG and sustainability first, and has called a collective urgency for action. A communique issued demanded an end to illegal mining or galamsey. The experts described illegal mining as having devastating impact on water bodies and ecosystems. Communique calls for strengthened governance, strict enforcement, and community-led restoration efforts to combat this environmental disaster. A governance advocate, Professor Douglas Boatin, said the environmental degradation has future implications for Ghanaians.
The future depends on what we do to our environment, socially to communities, and also decisions that are made in the boardrooms that affect today's generation and generations to come. Galamsey is a very deep problem. It's a problem that cannot be solved in 4 years. It will take some time, but with the will, we can do it. It's not just a government problem, it's a societal problem.
Professor De Graft Ousumenu, president of Green Communities International, said the Sustainable Development Goals, which end in 2030, is lagging behind since only 30% of the SDGs are on target.
Our quest for development and also industrialization, in the process, we somehow harm the environment, and in the end, it gets back to us. While we are doing our businesses, we must also take care of the environment. So we must bring in environmental considerations in the whole business value chain.
To the courts now, as lawyers of the former National Signals Bureau director led by Samuel Atachi have expressed disappointment over the decision of the Supreme Court in the criminal trial of Kwabena Edu-Boahen. The Apex Court, they unanimously dismissed the application to prohibit the trial judge from further hearing the matter. Lodudu Asare reports.
Lawyers for the former National Signals Bureau director filed the application to remove the High Court judge, Justice Eugene Yedunyante from further hearing the case, citing bias. In court on Wednesday, October 29, lead counsel for Edubuahin, Samuel Atachia, argued on the grounds of allegations that the trial judge blocked the disclosure of exculpatory evidence, took special interest in the matter by hearing the matter from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and allowing the Attorney General to decide the timelines of his decisions. But Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai counter-argued that the defense lawyers had misunderstood the facts of the case and was misinforming the Apex Court. He prayed the court to dismiss the application after noting that no evidence had been put before the Apex Court to satisfy the grounds of bias. The 5-member panel of justices chaired by Justice Avril Lovelace Johnson in a unanimous decision held that the application was without merit and did not meet the threshold for prohibition of a trial judge. Samuel Atachia spoke to journalists after proceedings.
I'm disappointed but not discouraged. We'll see how the case will travel.
How does it feel going back to the same court that you...
It doesn't move me at all. The only persuasion a judge will have is the law. I'm not going to have a banter with him. I'm not going to fight him over anything. I'm just going to project the law. It doesn't move me at all.
The full reasoning of the courts will be available on November 5, while the case returns to the High Court on Thursday. Lord Idwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Well, the Vice President, Professor Jainano Pokwajuman, has cautioned against complacency in safeguarding recent economic progress despite notable improvements in key indicators. Speaking at the Ghana Economic Forum organized by the BFT, she says the appreciation of the cedi and falling inflation must not lead to laxity.
The Ghana cedi has appreciated by nearly 40% year to date, with inflation now in single digits, the lowest in 4 years after opening the year at around 23%. The Bank of Ghana says the country's foreign reserves have also seen significant improvement, while external debt levels have declined meaningfully. However, the central bank maintains that the next phase of Ghana's economic recovery must focus on boosting domestic production and adding value to raw materials.
Production or productivity is crucial in safeguarding both the value and stability of the currency. Indeed, stability without production or productivity is hollow. A currency derives its enduring wealth from what a nation produces and sells to the world. Ghana's fundamentals, gold, cocoa, and oil remain vital, but the next phase of our growth must come from our value addition.
Meanwhile, the Vice President emphasized that the gains made were not accidental, but the result of deliberate effort and must be deepened to reinforce the gains achieved.
Our gold reserves have multiplied. Agreements with creditors have eased debt distress. The fiscal reforms are beginning to bear fruit. These are not miracles. They are the outcomes of deliberate, disciplined choices. However, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the time for complacency. It is a time for consolidation.
And that's it for the news on Newday. But there's always more news on our website, 3news.com. Please log on for more. My name is Noble Crosby, and Newday continues after this. Have a great morning. Bye-bye.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you all? Very good.
I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you, Roland?
We are blessed and highly favored.
You know I like it when you wear pink, right? Have I told you?
No.
Real men wear pink.
That's what they say.
Yeah, real men wear pink.
That's what they say.
It's a lovely outfit you got.
Yeah.
We're missing your hat. Is it a hat or a beret?
It's called Dapila in Dagbani.
Dapila.
Dapila.
We're missing it today.
Is this Eddie Joy?
Yes, Eddie Joy.
Eddie Joy, where can he or she be located?
Eddie Joy is a woman. She can be located at Dansuman, which you said is an old Dadabi area, right?
Yeah, old Dadabi. All those, they are trying to turn it back into Dadabi area.
You have La Road and then East Legon. And you can always...
East Legon is Dadabi.
You can always locate her on Eddie Joy, or actually at Eddie Joy _closet.
Charlie.
That's Instagram and then other social media.
You're looking exquisite.
Thank you very much.
Like you just returned from the UK.
Like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
A lot of money.
A lot of pounds, right? I melt here, I get plenty.
Well, let's say good morning to all of you who have joined us. It's always a delight to have you. And as always, let me say good morning to you, Chairman Prosper with Smart Shipping Company Limited, as well as the Group Chief Executive for the Rates Group, Chairman Godwin Tamaklo. And for everybody else in the value chain, we say that, look, all of you have a great time as well. But we're happy that you've joined. We have some interesting insight to discuss with you. And, well, we'll have some interesting discussions as well. What's up in the lineup?
This morning, yesterday, we heard the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Babin, say that show up for work or risk your seats being declared vacant.
Yeah.
And this is a warning or caution to the members of Parliament who have not been showing up to work. He actually spoke about when Parliament resumed, and he's noticed and taking account of all those who are vacant, but he's not going to say anything about that now. But if parliamentarians are to absent themselves for 15 days without permission or without any proper excuse, so to speak, they risk their seats being declared vacant. So that's top of the news. That's top of the news this morning for our MPs. I think just. When was it? Was it just last week we were talking about MPs needing a little extra time for themselves?
Leave days.
Yes. They wanted leave.
They wanted to go.
Which I disagreed with.
Leave. But aside Parliament going on recess. And this was the Speaker himself saying that parliamentarians need a little extra time. So that they can take care of their mental health and their families.
But that extra time should be taken with permission.
Yes.
You can't go out without that permission.
Yes.
But it's, well, I mean, it's not the first time. If you remember, during the time that the then MP for Dom Kwabena, Joasafo, the then Greater Accra Regional Minister, Henry Kote, and I think one other person, that argument that they had absented themselves without the Speaker's permission, and at a point even being dragged, Kennedy Japan was part of it, being dragged to the Privileges Committee. And so this thing is coming up again. And let's see how it goes.
And he's complaining particularly this time about the persistent low attendance. And that's something I think we should all be concerned about, because our representatives in Parliament are supposed to be there. They're supposed to be present to represent us and to contribute in passing and discussing important legislations. And so it's something that the Speaker has raised, but it should be important to all of us as a people, because we have elected them and they are supposed to be there to represent us. But the question is, if the Speaker is clothed with the powers to actually declare their seats vacant, that's a discussion to have. And so I guess we can talk about that this morning.
We can talk about that.
What do you think? If you hear that your MP has been removed or his seat has been declared
I just pray we don't get there anymore. That was the Article 79 confusion about, well, that was those who declared that they were not part of the parties anymore. But now, if this is the case, then we're almost getting close to that place.
Anyway, and then we have big issues this morning.
Yes, big issues. Of course, we're looking at Hanan Abdul Wahab Hanan, the former CEO of Buffer Stock. Yesterday, the Attorney General charged him and 4 others. Yes, formally charged him and 4 others with 24 count charges, and the 4 others include his wife as well. I think the AG last week actually said that he was going to go to court, I think the High Court, to file the charges, and he's done that.
He was to do it on Friday last week.
Friday, yes, but the news came out yesterday that he had filed those charges, 24 of them. And so we'll be looking into it. And of course, the other bit about the, there's another big issue that we'll be talking about as well. on the big issue today. So these are the issues that we'll be going into.
Yes.
Well, certainly. And then we'll bring you the latest sports headlines. And as it is, we're going to have some great interaction so far. Shamima Muslim will be coming through, and Beatrice will be having a discussion. Gloria Oforibedu is a legal practitioner, and then also Rodalane, Ayana, and then Kofi Bento. Yeah, we'll all be passing through this morning. We're hoping that we're also going to have some great insights. And then I'm just hearing of this. The Volta Economic Forum will be coming up. I'll be there myself. Just got to know as well. Yes, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have Ben Duchimalo as well as Amma Bloody all coming through. It's been organized to make sure that there's an aggregation. It will be shown live on TV3, I'm told.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping to attend. It's going to be during the Hogbechocho Festival, right?
I think that's part of it. I'm just getting it.
I've never experienced Hogbechocho, so it's on my list of things to.
It's been a long time since I paid real attention to Hogbechocho Festival.
Have you ever attended?
No.
Okay. Hogbechocho.
Yes. What does it mean?
Hogba.
Roland, what does it mean? I think I'm also interested.
What does it signify? This is not something I'm familiar with. Well, Roland doesn't know. So I'm going to check. I'll share. But yeah, the Volta.
No. But basically, it's just to commemorate the ancestral. The ancestors of Anglo, the Upper Land, when they left the wicked king, Agokoli in Noche, and then tried to retreat back to their present day.
You know the story of how they left?
No, certainly.
They walked backwards.
Yes, backwards.
To trick the...
So as part of the festival, you find that the simulations of that as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the Hogbechocho Festival is the annual celebration of the Anglo people of the Volta region. And Hogbechocho means the festival of Exodus.
Please, it's not Hogbe, it's Hogbe.
Hogbe.
Please, watch my lips. Hogbe. Hogbe.
Okay, so it commemorates the historic escape of the Ewe people from the tyrannical ruler Togbi Agokoli in Notie, which is located in present-day Togo. All right, so the Volta Economic Forum will be happening along the lines of the Hogbechocho Festival.
You should do a play on their escape from the wicked king.
I've seen a dance performance of it.
If you have time. Maybe you can do a musical.
Yeah. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Try to do a screenplay for the modern day. Won't be bad.
I'll go check it out. But for now, let's come back to the matter this morning. We're throwing the question to you. What do you make of the Speaker's pronouncement or caution to members of Parliament that if they are to absent themselves from the House for 15 days consecutively without reason, they risk their seats being declared vacant? All right. We're going to activate the phone lines in a minute. There's also an ongoing discussion about the term of the president.
So there was a forum that was organized.
Yes.
We're told that it's part of the many other thematic themes that came out.
But obviously
that they would want the term extended, not necessarily that an additional term for an existing president who had run 2 consecutive terms or had 2 terms. So the term should be, but it's a conversation that is not of today. It started during the period of the Kufuor administration. And I remember there was a particular day that we went to cover one of the events. I think the president at the time, President Kufuor.
It was actually his last State of the Nation address.
Then he said that based on his own assessment, a 4-year term for a president was not enough because, Nigeria has 6 years.
No, we are the only countries. We are Nigeria have 4 years with 2 terms.
So I remember Obasanjo also had been advocating that as well. And so if you have a 6-year term for a president, the belief is that you will be in a position to put the good mindset you have by way of what is translated in the manifesto to undertake. But the point is, my position is looking at our state of our politics. and the way we do the winner takes all, you can imagine if a president has 12 consecutive years, he will collapse the opposition party.
Yeah, and also
it can easily happen.
I mean, we've seen that on the continent. Let's examine whether or not these years really help with development like people are asking for. South Africa has 5 years, Cameroon has 7 years, and we know that Paul Biya has actually gained another term. He's already in his 43rd year.
Yeah.
Have we seen development across the country? I think that's something that we'll be delving. Actually, that's the second issue that we'll be delving into as well.
And the question was that, is a 4-year term enough for the president to actually do, they use the word magic? Is it enough time? Is the 4-year period enough time for the president to make substantial improvement in the lives of the people in terms of development and so on?
I mean, from where I sit, I would say it's debatable, but you've had a former president, John Kufuor, experience that before, and he thinking that is not enough. So sometimes they say that when you're not in people's shoes, you may not.
Have we had any president say it's enough?
Can never be enough.
Even
Paul Biya thinks his term is not enough.
Yes, which is why he went again and has won.
He's 92, right?
Yes.
All right. So we'll see how that goes. So I guess we have to ask the question.
Elections are democratic, right?
Yes, they
are. They are supposed to be democratic.
Yes.
So we'll ask you for this morning segment, what you make of the speaker's position that the absentee MPs should be punished because they risk losing their seats. That's what he said. And subsequently, maybe you can have some additions as well, whether LGBTQ bill should go back to Parliament as well, and then the extension of the presidential term. Should we have, let's say, a president having 6 years for a term? And so if you have two terms, it means that you're 12 years to go.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Well, let's throw it to the people. Let's throw it to the people. You can call us. Let us know what your thoughts are. But of course, you can also cash out.
I don't know. But you put the Hugbe you mentioned, a lot of people are texting power. It looks like
we're not pronouncing
we didn't get it well.
No, yeah. So I have Sherry Giovanni.
Okay.
Sherry Giovanni is an Angloman from. Are you from Abo or Fika? All right. So let me know. So Sherry says meaning of Hugbe Chuchu. Ho means uproot. Gbe means day. Chocho means crossing. Chocho literally the exodus, rising and crossing of the earth from the tyrannical rule of Togbi Agokoli of Noche.
Noche?
Noche.
It's Noche, right?
And then Dr. Bright Della Glover right. with the Keta Hospital is also saying, hey,
it's
Charlie,
Kita. It's Kita. It's not Keta. It's not Keta.
Charlie.
As for that one, I know.
It's not from the area.
As for that one, I know. Because I used to say Keta and Ever.
Yes, I love the way you pronounce the word.
Keta means sand. Keta, so on top of the sand.
On top of the sand.
That's what it means.
So it's Keta, not Keta.
Who said?
You said
I
Keta.
said Keta. Look at you. Look at this girl. Anyway, so Bright Della Glover, Keta Hospital says that waiting for all of you. Zilis Dwayne is also there and says, please tell Beatrice to stop and that you shouldn't bring Gloria Buedu. Oh. All right, we already have a first caller. We have cash out as well.
Yes, we do have cash out.
Yes,
star 439 hash. You follow the prompt and you choose your favorite platform, which is right here on TV3. Yes, star 439 hash. You follow the prompt and pick your favorite platform, which is number 2, TV3. Yes, but for now, it's time for This Morning. You're welcome to This Morning. And we already have our first caller on the line. Good morning to you, sir. Tell us your name, where you're calling us from. I hope you're well, and what you're thinking of what we're talking about today.
I am very strong and powerful like TV3 transmitter.
Hey.
Thank you very much. That's great to hear.
And very clever like TV3 camera lens.
Wonderful. Tell us what's on your mind today.
And this is Megina Kwesi.
Hi, Megina.
Greet Bella and Cookie Tea for me. Where is Bella? I miss her too.
Bella is around.
Oh, Bella. Call me tomorrow.
I'm sure she's heard you.
Maybe I'll Kawasep.
Kawasep, why?
Kawasep, what fraud?
Yes, what do you think? We are talking about LGBTQ and, of course, the Speaker's warning that if you miss Parliament for 15 days, you have to bear in mind that you risk losing your seat. What do you think about that?
It has been long overdue. Some parliamentarians don't have any duties apart from being in Parliament, but yet you go and see them not being present in Parliament. Meanwhile, I have sent you go and represent me in Sunyani East, Doma, Sunyani West, wherever, and you go and sit, do your own things. That one there, I think them. They should respect us. You are servants. Who is a servant and master? But you are good for us. You are rather people for us. People used to say, why am I saying so? I don't side with those who are agitating or for appeasement in the duration of a president, right? It is not a number of days that will be able to solve this country. Kwame Nkrumah, how many years was it given to him? America, how many years are they using for their presidency? Have you seen them encounter any challenge? It is time we change our mindset. The way we do things. If you are in a country, somebody dies and you still validate him and pay him. Does it take a month, a year to be able to rectify this? Just look at a health minister. Yesterday, what did he came out with? The health system, a company is sabotaging the government. Don't we have a system to address this? That is elsewhere. The system is there. Have you ever seen a white clean or organizing clean up at night? The system is there. If you pollute the environment, the system just catch you. If you cross a traffic, before you your home, the bill is there. Come to one of the police is negotiating with somebody and to collect anything. As for that case, I have sent a signal to Regional Police Command not sit down for police to be negotiating with a passenger, pedestrian, and collecting money. I will pursue this case to the latter for them to and do the right and stop agitating for more years to be in Afghan.
Thank you so much, Majina, touching on a number of issues.
It's very agitated this morning.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, I don't know what messages you have received on what we are talking about today.
Well, I have a number of interesting messages, and it's quite interesting on the Hugbechuchu as well as the extension, and then the parliamentarians absenting themselves on the concerns raised by the Speaker. So I have this one from Sheikh Abubakar Ali Napar, the president founder of the Light Foundation, wishing all the best for the day. He says that the extension of the term limit for the presidency will be good. And then also in a bad vein for both sides, for the president, being that if we have a president who is more development focused, it will be good for the people, where projects will be undertaken for the long term. For example, you can imagine a president having 2 terms of 6 years and then having 12 years to govern. So for the long term, you can implement long-term vision. But if you have one who is wicked, who is always telling chiefs to stand up, you're going to have that experience for 12 years. And that means that you are going to retrogress. Very interesting.
But you know, Roland, it comes back to the question or the point of governments being a continuum. So if you have wonderful
So the
projects
chief
or ideas.
standing up, we should continue.
Please, I'm not
We
talking
should call
about
the
that.
president.
I'm not talking about that. But if one government has this dream of, I don't know, building 25 hospitals, and 4 years is not enough to build those 25 hospitals. When the next government comes, the problem is discontinuing the projects of the last government.
That's why we're thinking there has to be an extension.
Yeah, that's
but
what,
you see, ideally we didn't need it.
We just need government to be a continuum.
Yes.
If it is a project that benefits the people, the next government should be able to comfortably continue it.
But the challenge,
otherwise, let's have a president for life so that he can.
challenge,
Ghana's
the challenge is that we don't seem to have a plan
another
for the
caller.
country. If you have a national development, which we've spoken about over and again, then whichever party comes to power
can just continue it.
Exactly, but you don't seem to have that working.
We need to. I think at the risk of sounding.
We have a caller on the line.
Okay, all right. Let's talk to this caller and then come back to the matter. Nuruddin has just joined us. Hello, Nuruddin.
Hello. Yeah, good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Okay. My name is Edna.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. What are your thoughts?
Action man. And regard to the speaker call for selection of the accepted MP.
Yeah.
That is I support it.
Hello, Nuruddin. Okay, we appear to have lost you there, but thank you so much for calling. Now, guys, this is not the first time we've had this conversation, I think, even amongst us on the show. If there is a plan, there's a national plan.
Yes.
We want X number of this, we want this and that and that. Whoever comes into power should be able to continue the projects of the previous government.
We haven't made that work. And so political parties or governments come and they come with their campaign promises.
New plans.
Exactly, and they want to fulfill that. And
those are also left
Exactly, there have been accusations and counter-accusations of, I started this, you didn't continue it, we've left, we've wasted state resources. Why wouldn't we continue projects that are started by the other administration? But again, it's also a matter of who gets the credit at the end of the day. So let's go to our next caller who joins us on the phone. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on this morning segment on New Day. Tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and what you think of our discussion this morning.
Okay, so this is Sani from Wali Wali.
Hi, Sani. Good morning.
Yes, fine morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm also fine. But before I go on, I just want to appeal to the Attorney General. Because I'm hearing that the multi-purpose dam is trying to investigate as to why we lost $12 million. In that area. I'm very passionate about it because that's my constituency. It borders my constituency, and if it was implemented well, that my people would have benefited from it. So you should try and investigate it so that anybody who is found culpable, the person will be punished. And then the government should also try and then make sure that particular dam is completed. Having said that, I back the speaker 100% because the standing orders of Parliament are quite clear that once you've absented yourself 15 days, okay, without any tangible reason, okay, automatically you are disqualified. Your seat will be declared vacant. Okay, so it is for a good reason that they put it there because most of the MPs they don't attend parliamentary sessions. Okay, when you watch television and then see out of the 275 of them, sometimes they are not even up to 100. So you ask yourself, what are the rest? Where have they gone to? Where have they gone to? Meanwhile, they're supposed to lead an exemplary, life for the others to follow. So if you are preaching that workers should go to, work every day, teachers should go to school every day, okay, even students, they should go to school every day, they should be punctual. Meanwhile, you yourself, you are not doing that. What are you taking the people for? Okay, so I think that is the best decision that the speaker is taking so that everybody who defaults from it, every MP who defaults from it should be punished. Because when you don't go there, how do you advocate for your people? Your people want to see you there, advocating for development. Yeah, you don't go there. The only time that you see them is, when they have issues with their salary. That's where you see every one of them, in the room, which is not the best. So I'm appealing to them, and then especially the majority. Their majority MPs. It's unfortunate, but it's like they are the most people who default in this directive, okay, or this kind of study order. So they should try their best and always attend the Parliament House. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling.
Please always keep your messages short.
Indeed.
Quite lengthy.
Thank you very much for calling us from Wali Wali this morning.
Well, we have some interesting message. This one is coming from Michael Asari, Executive Director, and then also Philippine Godo of the World Human Rescue and Advocacy Organization. They say that the term limits of the presidents as well as the parties who come into government should not be extended. If there's any argument for any extension, it should be done based on benchmarks that ensure that they improve the well-being and the development of the country and the people of Ghana. So far, development is lagging behind, and we need to double up to ensure that we remain competitive. Very interesting there. And then also, Moses says, the work of Parliament is not only limited to the floor of the House. And so an argument about absenteeism should not be made in a vacuum. Members of Parliament attend committee meetings. They have to visit their constituents as well, and then perform other functions. Even the Constitution says that the President is enjoined to pick 2/3 of his ministers from Parliament. So what are we saying? Apart from just being in Parliament, they have other responsibilities as well, and we should be mindful of that. Kwesi Mensah, Albany, New York, says that the truth is I will never wish Ghana to have the nature of people like near the president again. And the nature of the names you are mentioning.
Let's go back to the phone lines. We have
and then I have
on the line now. Jimmy, good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome to the show.
How are you?
Thank you. How are you?
Thank you very much.
All right, Jimmy. Well. Let us know what's on your mind.
Yeah. Now.
Yes, sir.
The thing is, left to me alone, the speaker, even the 15 days, is too much. How can you allow somebody to be absent for 15 days before you say that you are giving that person a sanction? It's too much. Go to the public schools. Systems are all over the places. Even headmasters are not allowing the teachers who come to school a bit late to sign the attendance book. And here lies the case. MPs will not even come for the purpose in which we have voted them for. So they should even review the 15 days. It's too much. Okay, it's something else. If you look at the floor of the Parliament, about over so many people, few people will be there, and the question is, what are they doing? What are they doing at home? It's too much.
Okay.
And secondly, to this one, it's not part of what we are discussing, but you know, yesterday I was at the stretch of a whole at the Puku line there. The road is getting bad every day. Potholes every day. You see cars are jumping into the potholes. Okay. I think you can take your cameraman to stretch that road and see what we are talking about. And this can cause casualties. So, Mr. Minister for the road, Mr. Agoja, translate this thing to him that you should do something about it.
Thank you so much.
The road, to just touch those small things, it can go a long way helping and saving life.
All right.
Okay, it's very, very important.
We appreciate your call. Thank you so much. And thank you for highlighting the point on the roads. We will continue our road series. We haven't given up on that. So thank you for drawing our attention to that road. We will visit soon. We have Idris joining us on the line.
Yes, hi. Good morning, Idris. How are you today? Tell us what's on your mind.
Yeah, good morning, okay.
Good morning.
Let me say good morning to your panelists. Yes, Idris, calling you from Upper West Region. Wow.
How is Wa this morning?
Oh, we thank God. Wa is very good. Wa is very good.
Great. Tell us, what do you think of what we're talking about today?
Yeah, I want to say good morning to the MPC Regional Chairman in the Upper West Region, Chairman Abdulaziz White, and also say good morning to the good people in Upper West Region in our own local language. While I answer my again G24 Lana. And the issue of the Kadabi, I know him very well. I think he is the current experienced speaker we are having in Parliament since 1992 up to date. Everybody respects him because of what he's doing in the Parliament. But to me, normally, sometimes I don't expect words. I always expect action. You understand? If the speakers were taking actions all the time, I think people will not even have time to comment. This same issue that we are complaining this morning about parliamentarians are not attending Parliament. This is not the first time we are talking about it. Is that not it? You complain under a Akufo-Addo regime, where Herikote, Adjosafo, and Kennedy Ajapon was not having time for Parliament. They debate it. It ends there. This time, if the speaker is able to take decisions quickly, I mean, everybody will be in line. You're not even waiting for the speaker to give you warning. You understand? So we want the speaker to be on action. They should not talking again. But the issue about this national agenda or essential times of a presidential candidate or party in power, for me, my issue is that in Ghana or Africa, we always have the mentality to steal but not to rest. Even 4 years is enough for everybody to have almost 80% of his promises to be implemented. You understand? 4 years is enough. How many are we? Ghana is not even up to 40 or 50 million people. Is that not it? They are not too much. The country is not any big country. And when we get a president, they will be doing Kokwasa. Within 4 years, they will start complaining. You understand?
All
so
right.
what we just say, we need an active president. That is just what we need.
All right.
When somebody see we are having the men, today somebody see that we are going to restart the country. Where are we going now? We are having the men and we are restarting, but we are not seeing anything. So we need an action leader. We don't need enough time for them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Idris,
Very
calling us from
interesting. Others have some interesting comments as well.
Yes.
And I have this one from Randa Shao, as well as the Shao family, James, Dryer, and the Drain. Now, she says that we don't need any extension in the presidential term. What we need is a national agenda, like is being espoused right there in the studio, where whoever comes to power works with that. For example, can you imagine if we made a decision that as a country, we were going to have a road infrastructure plan that will connect all regions as well as other countries in the sub-region of West Africa, or even a rail line plan where you can travel by rail from Accra to Kumasi, then you go to the Bono region, head to Tamale, and then you get to Paga, and do that eastwards, westwards, and then you crisscross the country. That is what we need, a plan that will be followed by whoever becomes the president. I have this one from Ismaila Horoya, who says, I fully support the presidential term increment. It should be increased, especially for people like this current president, John Dramani Mahama.
Let me read this message also coming in. I don't know if you've read a message from Kotoka Courage.
No,
in Angloga.
Not yet.
He says, as a matter of fact, I support the Speaker's decision to declare a seat vacant. During the MPP's time, the same thing happened, and Afenyo Makin took the issue to court. Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono had to direct the Speaker. By this time, we don't want to hear anything from the courts, whether it is for the NDC or for the NPP. Anyway, I'm inviting all of you to the Hogba Chill Festival in Angloga, especially my sweet sister Nashoko. I'll be there. As for me, I'm coming. So, what's the staple? Is it Fachiridechi?
Fachiridechi,
yeah, so prepare some abobitaji and Fachiridechi for me, because I'll be there.
So, well, so we also have cash out. It goes with Shoku star 439#. This is what you need to do. Increase the number of tickets by staking as many times as you can. So dial star 439#. You're going to get a prompt that says welcome, select station. So you select 2 because you're watching TV3 Newday. And then another prompt to ask you how many tickets you want to choose. Choose 40 plus, become lucky. Because, you know, when you increase the number of tickets, that's when the electronic dashboard will have your number. So if your number is 0244515151, you see that it's there. Plenty. But if
and
you
then
just
you
do
get the
2,
chance of getting
if you just do 2 and somebody does the 41, you see that yours is very skeletal. It's just swimming in the river like that. So Nelson Akotia, do we have another caller? All right, if we don't. Nelson Akotia says the absence of our MPs in Parliament is always worrying. We watch the chamber live. Now, we the constituent voted for them to represent us, but it looks as if we don't matter to them anymore. If they think their personal rounds are more important to them than being in Parliament to speak for us, then their days in the chamber are numbered. We constituents are watching with eagle eyes, and then also has a stake on the presidential term as well. He says it's a good call. And this one is coming from lawyer Ima. Lawyer Ima says that for all the things that need to be done, we also need to take a look at the presidential term. He thinks that, for me, I think it should be even 7-year 2 terms, just like France. Yes. If we have a good
5 years.
Okay. He says, yes, if we have a good president, we can go far. And a bad one, too, means wahala for the people. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
We have a caller joining us. We have a caller joining us.
Let's stand up
Haji
together.
Halima, good morning.
Stand up.
Let's stand up together.
Haji Halima, good morning.
Good morning, my sister. This is Hajia Halima,
Yes,
the freedom fighter from Medina, the voice of the Medina MP, and the voice of the newly appointed Hajj Board Chairman, Alhaji Rauf Tanko. May Allah be with him.
Allah be with you too. What's on your mind?
My sister, first and foremost, I hear you discussing about the presidency should be, the term for the presidency should be extended. And I heard someone send a message, and I'm very, very, very happy with the message the person sent. If we extend the tenure of every presidency for even 20 years, blacks and Africans, it will not be enough for us. Yes, because, you see, when you get a president who will tell chiefs to stand up and greet him, it means we are going to face a tyrannic type of governance in Ghana for 20 years. So that one is not the issue. The issue is, as today, we have a good government, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, who is resetting this country to make sure the country is united and developed. There should be something in our constitution that will force every president, if you come, and you see that John Mahama have done it to a certain stage, continue from there. It is a must for you to continue. It is a must for you to continue. Don't come and paint walls and give them names. No. Like some people did it in one district, one factory. Not painting. Okay. It should be something that I can see. It should be something that is real. It's in town. People are seeing it and it's working. But if you give somebody 20 years and the person continue painting things and naming them, removing placards on hospitals and putting their own placards there, and changing universities' names into their family names, it will not lure us anything in this country. So what I'm telling the big today...
Thank you, Hajia. Hey, Hajia.
She's actually laughing about it.
She says she's a freedom fighter.
Yeah, she's a freedom.
Yeah, she's a
Medina constituency
from Medina. Thank you, Ajia, for calling. I'm happy when the women call.
So we don't often have them, actually.
I beg your pardon?
We don't often have women.
Yeah, we don't often have the women calling.
They don't like talking about the politics, social issues, and the economic issues.
For calling us. But away from this, Roland, yesterday we saw a video surface on social media.
Yes, a soldier.
Yeah.
We were told. William Mensah.
Yeah.
Beating. I've seen it. It's
went into a pharmacy shop. A pharmacy, really. It's a shop. Yeah. So we're told that he wanted a refund of 65 Ghana cedis. Mm-hmm. As a result of that, got annoyed and beat up the attendants, the supervisor and the attendant. And the guy said, the other guy, big guy, where the soldier can, you see how tall he is. Soldier, this one be proper soldier. No, but
look, began to attack the lady. Yeah, and she actually came back with her shoes off.
And we're told the gentleman is called William.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And then this is when he began to slap her and beat her up. and she tried to get away, but she came back and tried to defend herself or throw her shoes at him. Yeah, this is very unfortunate.
But so that thing that he did there.
Yeah.
So I think this is
So he eventually got his money and left.
after beating them. No.
Yeah.
So is it the Ghana, the military police that need to take this up, or?
Well,
I know that.
Charlie, this is
an assault.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's a criminal. I think the Ghana Police Service should take this.
Well, somebody also says that the pharmacy could be also located at Chimotamo. I've been buying from there.
Oh.
I don't know. Chimotamo pharmacy way smaller.
But I think since he belongs to the army, they also have their own internal disciplinary measures when a soldier is caught misbehaving, if indeed he's part of the army.
So much aggression. And
Over
this man is a man in
65
uniform. As in, he's supposed to be,
Yes.
alleged to be a soldier. Someone who's supposed to actually
Charlie's son, the man.
safeguard. Yeah, and the way he even beat up the lady.
Yeah.
This one only now go fit and like now they there.
Yeah.
After a good training,
I will
wait
run
now
for my
come
life.
to the place.
Please, they are not recorded. This one is on camera.
I think that's why he beat the woman when he realized that she was trying to film him.
Yeah,
no,
but he didn't know that there was a whole camera that was filming
CCTV.
Yes.
That's why it's always good to install some of these things in your facility.
Yeah.
And I think that if truly he's a military person, the Ghana Armed Forces need to take this as serious as they can. It also shows the type of conduct of individual personnel that they have within their ranks, and the law needs to take its course on the subject matter. This beating people because of 65 cities.
Yeah. Well, whilst we ponder on that, there's a world-class university right here in Ghana, Rosebank International University, a strong South African university, and a branch of the ADV Tech Group, Africa's largest private educational provider with 146 schools across 5 African countries and over 100,000 learners, and partly owned by the World Bank. Now, through the IFC, Rosebank International University is fully accredited by the South African Qualifications Authority, the British Accreditation Council, GTEC in Ghana, City Guild UK, and Capsicum Culinary Studio at Rosebank International University. We offer a Doctor of Business Administration, MBA, also a Master of Science and Master of Philosophy in Digital Marketing, Bachelor of Supply Chain Management, targeting professionals in freight forwarding, customs, etc. We offer hospitality and culinary arts available at diploma, undergraduate, and postgraduate levels. ICT has BSc Information Technology in Business Systems and IT Computer Application Development, all carefully designed to equip you with the skills and qualifications needed for a successful global career. Remember that our mission is simple: inspiring excellence. Remember, admissions also are now open for January 2026. Visit our modern campus at Airport Commercial of Pebia House, Accra, or apply online at www.riuc.edu.gh. Rosebank International University, building global citizens. And you're still here on Newday on TV3. When we come back, we'll bring you the big issue. Don't go away. But before we go on that, remember that Royal Cane Cracker is always available to choke your hunger, because hunger can strike anytime, but Royal Cane Cracker is always on standby when you need something enjoyable to munch on. Royal Cane Cracker brings the crunch and the buttery taste. It fits right into your day, morning, noon, or night. Royal Cane Cracker, choke your hunger. Just grab one and enjoy. This advert is FDA approved. Stay with us. We're back with more. And you're still here on New Day on TV3. Welcome to The Big Issue. This morning, we're looking at the voices that are rising up again to support calls for the presidential term limit to be extended. Previously, we've had those who think that the current president, John Mahama, has performed so well that they believe he should have a third term. And so we should be thinking of reviewing Article 66, which spells out clearly the term limit for a president, which is 2 4-year terms. But now we're hearing that people are actually asking for up to 5 years in a term for a president. And this came out at a CLOSAC stakeholders engagement yesterday. Remember that it's not the first time that we're hearing this. During the last term of the former President John Ejekumu Kufuor, in his last State of the Nation address, he indeed said in Parliament that the country perhaps needs to consider extending the 4 years to 5 years, because 4 years seems very little for any president to do any magic, as it were. And there are mixed reactions. That's what we want to look at today, and really what it would take for the Constitutional Review Committee, which is currently working to look into such a thing, and perhaps the consequences for the future. We'll also be looking into the charges that were filed against the former CEO of the Buffer Stock Company, Hanan, as well as his wife and 3 others because of financial malfeasance. We'll go into the charges giving us, you remember that last week, Wednesday, the Attorney General addressed the press and told us what he called the rumble in the jungle kind of financial malfeasance. He brought us details of that and the fact that he was going to file charges. He has filed about 24 charges against the individuals involved. So we'll be looking into that. Let me introduce my panel. My name is Beatrice Sedu. Thank you again for joining us. And we do have on the panel with us today, Madam Shamima Muslim, Deputy Presidential Spokesperson. Good morning, ma'am. It's great to have you.
Good morning. It's been a while, but
Yes.
I'm happy to be back on the set.
Yes.
I went on a bit of a hiatus off TV3, but
Oh,
I'm back.
We're happy to see you back. Yes, and we also do have with us our regular panelists, Madam Ayana as well, Rodelyn Ayana. Thank you so much, ma'am. Good morning as well to you. Thank you for joining us.
Morning, Beatrice.
It's always great to see you as well.
Always great to be here.
Yes, we'll be joined by video call by a lawyer and managing legal practitioner, GOB Law Consult, Madam Gloria Foriboedu, who'll be joining us by video call, as well as private legal practitioner Kofi Bento. He will also be joining us to share his thought as well on what needs to be done. And so once again, thank you very much for joining us on The Big Issue. We'll be going into the issues that I've spelt out, the presidential term limit, as well as this fight against corruption and the former Buffer Stock Company CEO, his wife, and the rest. But let me first get your thoughts on what we shared before we even came here on our screens about an alleged soldier who entered a pharmacy, and we're showing you the visuals right now on our screens, went into a pharmacy. We do understand that he wanted his 65 Ghana cedi back for what we are still yet to get the details. And you can see he assaulting, I think she's a pharmacy attendant, and he would go on to...
He beat the girl up. He beat it, just say.
Yes.
Oh no. Hey, she ready.
I am so embarrassed.
I'd like to say good morning to our cherished viewers. I'd like to also say good morning to the Bokunaba, who is also in town, Naba Asigri Azoka II. Beatrice, I feel so bad. I don't know how we got here for a person who's supposed to be disciplined, a member of the Ghana Armed Forces, to behave this way. I don't know. I just can't believe that. But thank God he was not in uniform. At least, so I can call him a civilian because he was off duty. So he's a civilian. But to think that he came from the forces is very embarrassing for the CDS this morning and for the Ghana Army commander this morning. I think that we've had problems with the military of recent. We've had cases where they've fought other security officers, policemen and the likes. And we've had cases where they've been involved in robberies with other people. These are all things that were out there, not concoction. And then you begin to think and ask yourself how they are being recruited these days. So it's not surprising that the late Defense Minister Omani Boama was not happy about the recruitment of army officers and men who he felt were not qualified. Some did not go for training, some didn't even have medicals, but they found themselves into our system. I think that this issue of just carrying numbers into the forces must stop. We must begin to know that the armed forces is a specialized unit. It's not just like anybody. They are trained to kill. And for people like that, you need people of a certain mindset, and they must have certain qualifications. But it seems we have just been parking the military and the police and all the other security services with party men and women. And these are the results. If you look into this person's background, you might come to realize that he didn't even go maybe through the service. Also, we must also start looking at the service with another eye, because you see, the Ghana Armed Forces for me has really, really gone down. I was at the 37 Military Hospital, and I think that we should change that name. It should not be 37 Military Hospital. It should just be something hospital. It shouldn't be something that would say is for the military. It's not. This is not the Ghana Armed Forces that I knew. I married into it. I stayed into it for 21 years. So I know what I saw from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. This is not the army that Ghana has that we're so, proud of. That we go to the UN, Operations Peacekeeping, and everybody's like, oh, the Ghana Army, Ghana Army. This is not the type of Ghana Army that is out there. And I think that we should remove politics and leave the system, leave that organization to function. Because this whole issue of always meddling, in the affairs of the military is what is bringing out these people. And look, it will surprise you that some high up somewhere will ring and say, oh, this person should not be court-martialed, this person should not be sacked, those kinds of things. Because right now, I don't know his ranking.
Well, we've had the military, anytime we've had an officer or a soldier misbehave, quote unquote, we have the military say that they would take disciplinary action without fear or favor.
They do.
Is there still a possibility within the military where...
Oh, yes.
Aside from the commander of the Ghana Armed Forces?
In times gone by, there have been cases where people have gone scot-free because some high-up calls and say something. So maybe they'll just transfer the person to somebody else, post the person somewhere else. But all I'm saying is that it's about time. When I see this, I just ask myself, this is a person trained to kill. And you can see him in Rambo style, throwing arms and throwing things and that kind of thing. How do you expect a civilian to team up with a military man? It's impossible. But you see, and it's impossible not because you can't do it, but because of the fact that he's a military person. No matter what happened, if they owed you 65 Ghana cedis and they were not paying, you could have reported to the police that they had defrauded you of 65 cedis or whatever, but not take the law into your own hands and then deal with them this way. So my final submission is that we have to sit up with the military and then this person must be punished severely.
This person must be punished. Madam Mashramima Muslim, what's your thought on what we've just seen?
Well, I agree to what my sister has said in terms of finding out the culprit and truly punishing the culprit, to again remind us that these kinds of actions are unacceptable. I want to explore a different angle of temperaments and then anger management, and how and why the former director, I don't know if he's still the director of the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, says that we're all mad men and women walking the streets.
Professor no, he's left there a long time
ago. He's left,
yes.
Right. Because you see, the whole debate about mental health is a very serious matter, because these are not just random actions. They are manifestations of the emotional states of individuals who are unable to manage frustration and anger at a point of trigger, whether there's a justifiable cause or a non-justifiable cause. And for it to be happening, you know, within the service, where sometimes we see such levels of brute force being meted out to other civilians, I think tells of, you know, some of the challenges in the training model. And I think, again, that's what the late Omani Boama tried to do when he communicated that we were even reviewing the training for our, you know, armed forces, because you must have the right temperament, and people's temperaments can be assessed. And so through the assessment process, we must know who can be calm even in the face of, you know, severe with provocation, and who does not just have the temperament to be in the armed forces. Party people are citizens. Party people can become members of the armed forces, but party people without the right temperament should not go anywhere near the armed forces, and should not go anywhere near, you know, holding arms, because who knows what you can do with arms, you know, when you become, you know, angry or triggered. So again, these are some of the signs that tell us that when we say we need to review who gets to, you know, work in the armed forces, these are some of the examples. And to be fair, it's not just them. It is the generality of, you know, citizens and how people manage, you know, their emotions and anger. And so perhaps it's time for us to continue the conversations around mental health and to offer people help and therapy. You know, when we speak about therapy in our parts of the world, it's like you're telling somebody the person is mad, or has some psychosis or some psychological problem. But we know the stresses that we all deal with on a daily basis. So we must normalize talking about, you know, our stresses, how they make us feel, how we are triggered. And we must also normalize people actively seeking help, you know, psychosocial support for people going through. We must normalize the conversations. And the media has a major role to play in normalizing these conversations by bringing us people sharing their lived experience, how they went through various forms of depression and how they have recovered, how they are managing, you know, life, work, balance stresses. You know, it's not easy for everyone. I mean, a couple of days ago, I said everybody has problems and everybody is dealing with one form of battle or the other. Even sleep, I was saying this morning, is a battle to some. And so please don't be too hard on yourself if you're going through some, you know, life challenges, you know, or some frustrations. Seek help. And now with a smartphone, you can find, you know, platforms that have the expertise to offer you some coping mechanisms.
Not everybody may think that they have such problems.
Yes.
In fact, it is when you identify that you're on the way to getting a solution to your problem. In terms of review, I believe that perhaps it's one of the factors or key ingredients that the Ghana Armed Forces would be looking at, assessing the mental health of officers or soldiers on a regular basis?
They must. They must. Yes, on a regular basis, I agree. Even those who are in the service must go through these regular assessments to determine whether they are still fit for purpose to be in there, you know. And I suspect that they should also have these support systems within high pressure, you know, national security, Ghana Police Service, some of these services, immigration. They must have in-house avenues for, you know, officers to seek help when they do need help.
I realize Madam Ayana wants to have a final word, but if you can share your thoughts with us on your expectations, because, I mean, people are very upset about what we've just seen, that he must face the law.
I think that's, everybody agrees that it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Again, it shows us that violence is still, and I can imagine if he has a wife or in the domestic setting, if this is how he expresses his frustration, it means the spouse may have experienced some of these violent, you know, attacks. Again, so domestic violence is a real matter, and men, women must all be taught how not to resort to violence as a means of, you know, redressing their problems.
Madam Ayana, I wanted to have a final word before we move on to our topic.
I just wanted to say that the military has its own way, you know, all through the process before you qualify to call yourself a soldier. Anger management, all those things. Because of the way they select the people, they are able to fish out those who are quick. Because you are going to be dealing with a gun. You understand? So all these things come out. But then there was this other issue we've not touched, and that is the pharmacy, the service provider. Sometimes those behind the counter do not even know how to approach people, do not know how to talk to people. You understand? I remember the president saying that, you know, we might have all the tourists coming in, but then when we don't have good service, you know, they might even go. So maybe the counter assistant might have provoked him through speech or whatever, but he should have at least remembered that, one, he's a man because he was attacking a woman. Then the second thing, that he is also a soldier. He shouldn't have done that. So I think that, yes, it is right. We have to check them. We have to look at so many things. There are so many things that we might not be able to talk about here, but there are so many things worrying the military right now.
Right. I mean, before we go on, I just wanted to also take this opportunity to announce again that the presidency is still commemorating the, you know, Cancer Awareness Month this October. We've been running a free screening clinic at the presidency, and tomorrow there's going to be a forum for all the women at the presidency, where we would have a health talk and also have some experience sharing from those who have been, you know, through it, those who detected it early and have survived it, and those who have lost a loved one through you know, the breast cancer. And so we'd like to take this opportunity to invite all staffers at the presidency tomorrow at 9 o'clock at the banquet hall. We will have this forum. And also to say big ups to the Gold Board for the revival of the jewelry industry, local jewelry industry. Former PMMC is now the Gold Board Jewelry Limited. And to promote it and encourage all of us, please, go and buy jewelry made right here in Ghana from our own gold resources, so we can support the economy and support the city.
Madam Ayana has some comments on that.
No, you can afford. We are going to make it. You can afford Ghana Gold, because that is exactly why Gold Board is there. Once we are purchasing, it means that, you know, eventually the final product should be reasonably priced for the Ghanaian. So please, let us buy made in Ghana jewelry. You don't need to go to Dubai to buy jewelry made from Ghana Gold or UK or France or wherever. It is when we patronize these things that we can also strengthen our city. And congratulations to the Bank of Ghana. They held a very beautiful ceremony. The city at 60, the city had gone through a lot. And the vice president's speech about how the cedi has not just recovered but is soaring is indeed, commendable. And so please let us support the cedi and support the managers of the economy under the leadership of the president to build the Ghana that we want, that will prosper all of us equitably and equally.
Thank you. Let's continue on the president, but this time around, the term limits for the president. And I did say before we started that there have been calls. The calls have come back again with people thinking that the 4 years are just not enough to really allow any president to do, they call it magic. And let me first get your thoughts, Madam Shamima Muslim, because already there are mixed reactions to this very proposal that has come up forcefully.
Right. So, democracy, I don't even know. There are so many things to say on this, and standing the risk of preaching, let me say that these conversations are always welcome because our democracy is still in experiment, and we don't ever stop learning because once you solve a problem, another problem, I mean, that's what life is all about. We are reforming, we are refining, we are reviewing, we are assessing what works and what doesn't work and how we can, make this democracy work for the average Ghanaian. I was quite pleasantly surprised that this proposal is coming from Clocksack, and not from any political, quarters that would have then lent itself to all kinds of interpretations that, perhaps they are planning to do something. Again, coming on the back of, recent comments about whether or not the president, Mahama, may go for a third term.
He already said he won't.
Following people insisting that some group of people, I watched some TikTok video of some, individuals insisting that perhaps President Mahama should go another term. It is not new. Like your report said, former President Kufuor had thought that a 5-year tenure might be a good, start, which means we would have a 10-year mandate for a party that wins 2 consecutive terms. Why that is important is that longevity is good for the realization of, projects to its fullest potential. And when a party comes into government with its vision, it requires a certain length of time. And we have the benefit of history, the benefit of long history regarding how European nations, powered their industrialization and their transformation through the pillaging of many African and Asian states. They pillaged their human capital, they pillaged their natural resources, and they powered their industrialization with it. That was their blueprint to prosperity and development before they became democratic nations where elections were now cyclical and they were promoting, liberal, ideologies and freedoms, sometimes unfettered freedoms. But when you really look at the blueprint, most of these Western societies that promote unfettered, freedoms and liberalizations also have the most severe forms of surveillance on their citizens. That's one lesson from history. Another lesson from a not so distant history is the emergence of the Asian tigers and the dragon nations of China, Singapore, Malaysia, as we refer to them as those that have been able to lift their economies literally from their bootstraps, within a generation or two, in a space of 40, 50 years. These previously dubbed underdeveloped, low-income, low-resource nations have managed to turn their nations around. And I went on this my first ever international visit, apart from Burkina Faso, which was a day trip with the president. And what I saw, what I heard of that model, that, the Asian tiger model, which is not really your Western democratic model, but more of an insular system that was sometimes a command and control economy that had like even one party state ruling for a long period of time that laid the solid foundation. So you may call it a dictatorship, but it was a transformative dictatorship, one that has yielded visible, transformation for its people. So we on this part of the world have the benefits of these two comparisons. We have to decide, because we cannot now plead ignorance for a nation like ours, almost 70 years after independence, to be where we are, where the accepted narrative is that this democracy that we are practicing is receiving some headbacks and rollbacks because it is failing to deliver the transformation that we require. At the basis of that transformation is longevity, because 4 years you come into power. I'm sorry, you want to say something?
But I want you to land before I come in.
Okay, so it is true that the 4-year term is wholly insufficient if we are truly to change the path, the trajectory of our development. Because honestly, expensive elections that begin and start upon the end of another election doesn't look like a practical way of managing your very scarce resources. Year one is literally, we're still making appointments, you know that. Year one goes. By year two, we are already, even in year one, people are already talking about who leads which political party and who takes over from which political party. I think that even if we do not want to extend the term limit, we must look at the possibility of allowing multiple, so for example, a candidate of a political party should be able, once the political party elects them to lead, should be able to go more than 2 terms. Because the people themselves would also see if we're on a certain transformative path that requires continuation or that requires a break.
So let me get your understanding clearly.
Yes.
You're saying that the 2 terms, as have been described or prescribed for us by the 1992 Constitution in Article 66, the 2 terms are not enough. You think there should be a 3rd term?
I think that if we want to increase the 2-term limit by how many years? Another year.
Which is what the Clocksack.
Okay.
The Clocksack one that we saw yesterday actually recommended 5 years, which was something that the former president
then
proposed.
have 10 years.
Yes, if the president gets a second chance at the presidency.
Now, the fear of people is that, so if we have a bad president, we are stuck with him for, say, a 5-year period. But the counter to that is that then you don't have to vote for that person for a second term to make it 10 years.
So that's
However, the practicality of the challenge is that if a political party actually felt that they had a long period of time, possibly, depending on their performance, I think the mentality towards development will be different from one which they feel they have so limited a time that sometimes people decide to misbehave. So my counter proposal might be that allow the parties to decide who they want to lead them, even beyond a 2-term limit. If a party decides to vote Rodaling for 3 terms because Rodaling's vision seems to be delivering results, allow the party to make that decision. And then the nation goes into an election and decides if they still want this party or they do not.
So
you see, that gives us then, whether we're doing 5 years, that gives us a 15-year mark, or if it's 4 years, a 12-year period. Possibly, this is in an ideal situation that we come into a party or a government that is doing all the right things, you know. So it is an interesting conversation that we must continue to have, and possibly the Constitution Review Commission or committee, I beg your pardon, would give us what their position is based on all of these commendations that have come. But that is how I would prefer we look at it.
And I want to come in, but let me let you know that the military officer whose video we just showed you, we understand has been picked up. And so that's the latest information we have. It has been picked up by authorities, and we'll bring you update as and when we have it, perhaps for questioning and the beginning of investigation. So that's what we are learning, that he's been picked up, and we'll bring you updates. But I want to stay just a bit longer with you, Madam Shamima Muslim, before I come to you, Madam Ayana. You gave great examples of what we've seen with European nations. Yes. You also talked about the Asian countries, yes. And of course we do know it's known that Malaysia, for instance, before it even went on develop to this extent that we're seeing, it learned from Ghana. That country actually learned from Ghana. But the concern is that Africa doesn't seem to have the same, and you talked about mentality, the same path. And so when you open the Pandora's box like that, or you open the gate, you end up having people abusing the system. And there have been so many examples. We see what's happening in Togo for Nyasingbe's family. Recently, there were protests. There were reports of abuse of the individuals who went on to protest because the government was against the fact that they were fighting against the longevity of that family in power. This morning, we're talking about Paul Biya, who is currently in his 43rd year. He's been elected again at 92. And by the time he's done with the 7-year term, he would have spent about 50 years in power. We've seen, in Zimbabwe and many African countries that have abused this system. Yes. And people do not think that we need to have this conversation because it will be detrimental to the country.
So it is true that longevity doesn't always guarantee good leadership, right? And in that case, it is the people that will make the difference. Because in all of these countries, they purport to run a democracy and they purport to run elections. But these elections are fraught with challenges that almost look like outcomes are procured, opponents are stifled, arrested, vanished, and all of that. So in that case, it is the citizens that must ensure that they assert their right to change or to choice or to push for the necessary reforms. But what I'm saying is that we have the benefit of the blueprints that have delivered development. So if you have the benefit of the past and you live in the present, obviously you have the leeway. If you truly want the development that you want, in our part of the world, we would seem to promote more freedoms without corresponding responsibilities. You know, we seem to want to enjoy unbridled freedoms and rights and never have a conversation about what responsibility as citizens we must ensure to contribute to the development. We want to look at the price we receive for this democracy rather than the price we must pay to make it work. And we must be pragmatic. I think we must be pragmatic. I think President Mahama is providing us a certain strong, bold, pragmatic leadership, but it means that sometimes there will be consequences to those options. He was in China, and you would see that the president is resetting diplomacy. We are not going to be bound by any historical links to some countries which blueprint is not working for us. We would explore other avenues, like we're exploring, diplomacy with other countries like China that seem to share with us the same vision of how to pull ourselves out from where we are now, where we're now building strategic partnerships.
And I'll come back for you to continue on that, but I want to get your thoughts as well, Madam Ayana, on this, because those who are against it think that, yes, the president may be praised right now, but if you're changing something, it goes beyond him.
Beatrice, I think that this whole idea of term limitations and development is something that we all have to talk about. First and foremost, I would have said that 4 years is okay for any one term. The reason why we are having these problems is because we do not have a national development plan where every party will go according to that plan, and then you bring your manifesto in and do whatever is left to be done. In a country where every time there is a change of government, there is a change of policy in education, there's a change of policy in health, there's a change of policy in almost every sphere of life. How is that country going to develop? The Asian tigers, there is one thing that we have that they don't. Like, it's not working against them. That is tribalism and ethnicity. In this country, we are even living it, where a particular region is purported to belong to a particular party. And it shows when the voting comes. You get me? How do you then go around and get someone out of this lot to go a third term? Are you understanding me? Mm-hmm. Where in a country of about 16 regions, one party can win with just 2 or 3 regions. The whole thing is that this whole idea of not continuing projects, not maintaining good people, I don't see any reason why, if someone is at a position and is performing, that person cannot be maintained. We always have to change the person. You would hear a lot of murmurs going around. Oh, and the president maintains some people. Is it always that you have to change someone just because another person saw good in that person, put him in a position, the person is delivering, and you expect that because there's a change of government, that person has to be sacked? There are certain things that if we do right, 4 years may be enough. Because I think the president coming now, after having stayed out for about 8 years, has taught us something. He has come and hit the road running because he had time to think through all the things that he wanted to do for this country. Probably what went wrong was the fact that the information that he had is different maybe from what he has come to see. So it has made him not to do what? Not to be able to be even as fast as he would have wanted to be. It is 1 year. When you come out of a bad governance, which we did come out of, and then suddenly you realize that somebody is doing the right things, you feel like, why don't you let him continue? But we are forgetting that we are in a global situation. We do not command certain things. When there is an increase in price globally for fuel, it affects us. If any war should break out again, it will affect us. Anybody with even the right set of mind to come and do good will be affected by these negatives when they come from global issues. So it is okay for us to sit now and say, yes, Mahama should continue. In his right thinking mind, he has studied and he has seen that some of these things can happen and it will affect him negatively. And we will be the same people to insult him, to call out, names on him. And he has seen that after this term, I am leaving. And for good reason. He will leave whilst the applause is high. We do not want to come to a situation where we'll be introducing dictatorships in this country. 5-year term for me is the ideal.
And not a third term.
And not a third term. 5-year term for me is the ideal. The 1960 constitution that Kwame Nkrumah came with started from 1960 to 1965. That was a 5-year term. He did what he could. You understand? And if you look at President Mahama's 4 years, we were talking of Dubai, Circle Dubai. A lot of the things he did it in 4 years, which means it can be done if only we can put certain institutions in the right context. A national development plan, which is enshrined in our constitution. You have to abide by it. It should involve health, education, energy. If all those things and others, if all those things can be entrenched, that if you come, where your predecessor has let off, you continue.
But you know we've had such a plan. But, I mean, it was a 40-year plan. The former
but those were
President
plans that 40
came
years
to review it.
It was by governments as they come. I'm saying put it in the constitution that you must abide by it. You must follow it. So that if someone is building a school, you have to finish it. If someone is building a hospital, you have to finish it. Don't leave it and go and start another one. You understand? As we sit now, we are all hailing President Mahama because he is doing that, finishing other projects. You understand? It's our money. It is taxpayers' money. You don't have to leave it. So at the end of the day, let us not rush into third terms. I would go with an increase in the number of years. Because look, the third term, if we are not careful, we will be going to a fourth term. Because if the person comes and he's good, would we like the person to go? You understand? But we cannot always say that.
But if he's
wait,
good, why
I'm coming.
would you want him to go?
I'm coming. We cannot always say that Nyasa Wonipa Bakutim. You know, it's one person has all the intelligence that it takes. There are other people. Somebody might come after Mahama who will be greater. You understand? That is how it is. Today, people are equating him and say, oh, Kwame Nkrumah did so well, but Mahama is about the second Nkrumah. You get what I'm saying? When Kufuor came, oh, we hailed him. Oh, he brought businesses and things. Then when Akufo-Addo came, everyone said, oh, he's just a terrible president. Well, first time he tried, but this time he didn't do well. There are other people in this country who also, or within the various parties, who also can do something. You understand? Let us not begin to want to go into, before we will even have the need to say it, we'll be hearing people saying, we are going to do one-party states.
That's the fear of people.
That is the fear of people.
If you
That's
allow
what I get on the
this
streets.
argument, especially
That's
those who
what
are
I
on
get.
the side of a third term,
Exactly.
you end up seeing what we've seen in other African
because
countries.
our people are not, they are not people that you would say that they are.
You don't give Ghanaians much credit.
No, I wouldn't say that I don't give Ghanaians much credit, but the whole thing is that it's the leadership. The leadership are the ones that we are afraid of. You understand? It's the leadership that we are afraid of. Then the machinations, the manipulations, and all the things that go with governance in this country makes us afraid for a third term, because we think that there will continue to be a fourth term and a fifth term. Are you getting me? Maybe it's good for development, but that's why I'm saying that when it comes to the development, let us have a national development plan. Everybody should buy onto that plan, and then we'll continue. And then also, I think that we should be looking at age. We should be looking at age. If Ghanaians are working and retiring at 60, why should we accept a 75-year-old to be a president? You understand? We should be looking
But that
at
starts
it.
from the party level, who the delegates elect to represent
that
them.
starts not from the party. It starts from the constitution. The constitution says 40 years?
Yes.
For the president.
Yes.
But it doesn't have a cutoff point.
Yes.
But we must have a cutoff point. We cannot afford to have somebody like a Paul Biya in our midst.
92 now.
92. You understand? We can't sit there and wait for somebody who is 80 to now come.
Alassane Ouattara also changed the constitution.
Exactly.
He's in his 80s.
People will do all sorts of things. So let us start now thinking about and talking about the age factor in this situation. Should we have an age limit? Say, should it be 70? You understand? If you're coming in at least 40, if you're going to go out, the maximum you should come in with is 70. No more. So that we don't have this old. There's so many young people out there with brilliant ideas, brilliant minds, and we have to test them. All of them. Those Asian tigers and all the Western world, it's taking them 200 years. We're only just about what? 70?
Less than 70.
Less than 70. So it means that out there are other people with great, great ideas. Young people are coming up. Young people are doing great things. We must allow other people to come in
I heard you make a point that I want to get some more on before I go on our video call to get our guests who have joined us there. You said that if we get a good president, 4 years should be enough. And already the president is scoring very high. People feel that within 10 months, we are now entering the 11th month, he's been able to do well, such that people are even calling for him to stay on. You have said that if there was going to be, or we were considering changing the term limit at all, it should be that 5 years instead of a third term.
Yes, to give him more time to do more things.
But you still believe that 4 years could still do a good job.
If we had,
so why have we had the problem of people having 4 years and not delivering? Of course, we heard Madam Shamima Muslim say that they are still making appointments, they haven't seemingly settled yet. But from your perspective, why have we failed to deliver within 4 years?
That's what I was saying. I said continuity. We don't have continuity in this country. A new government comes in and it's like every position has to be filled up again with new people. That person goes and it's now going to even take time to look through the books and find out what is happening and, you know, all those things. But if we had some form of continuity, where it's like, first and foremost, the one thing we're lacking in this country is nationalism, patriotism. Is it that we are working for government or personalities or for Ghana? That is the main thing. If you are working for Ghana and for the betterment of Ghana, it doesn't matter which party you are serving. Growing up, I knew that the civil service and the public service were places that they were working strictly for Mother Ghana. You get me? So whether you were there when CPP came or NLC came or whatever, you were there to work for the good of this country. But these days, we are beginning to ask ourselves those same questions. Are they really working for party or they are working for Ghana? That's the whole thing. So 4 years or self. Exactly, or for self. Because you see, at the end of the day, we sit down, a new government comes and some people go home crying. We didn't get, because we've been kicked out of the job.
Because of the kind of politics we practice.
Because of the kind of politics we practice. Let us get our politics right. Let us educate our people to understand what democracy is. You know, different kinds of democracy exist in this world. But we are practicing a form of democracy that is quite divisive. You understand? It's very divisive. Even to the extent that someone in the market today would say, I am not going to reduce this because NDC for you know, I'm not reducing it because NDC is in power. It will make Mahama look good. Really? But you're a Ghanaian, and the person who's coming to purchase whatever you're selling is a Ghanaian. So you realize that although the president has done so well in managing the economy, things are still not being reduced as Ghanaians would wish for them to have been reduced, because people are playing party politics with our lives. So it is not really, there is something there that is not quite right. And I think that we have to start teaching our children in school about being Ghanaian first, you know, trying as hard as possible to make Ghana a better place. We don't have to let people think that we can divide each other along party lines. We may decide to say it's not true, but that is what is out there. We know it. We know it.
We know it, you say. Let's go to Madam Gloria Ofori-Boadu, who is a legal practitioner and also managing legal practitioner, GOB Law Consult. Good morning to you, ma'am. Thank you very much for joining us. Hello, Madam Ofori-Boadu, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, the conversation about the need for us to look at the terms of the president, those calling for a third term and those thinking that, well, third term may be quite dangerous. Let's look at rather extending 4 years to 5 years or even up to 7 years like you have in other African countries. You're a lawyer. Where do you stand on this?
Well, thank God for the Fourth Republic. You know, since the Constitution of 1992, we, compared to some African countries like Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, you know, have had relative peace. Cote d'Ivoire had this war born out of elections where over 3,000 people died. Kenya had a civil unrest where thousands died, and it took the intervention of the UN and then the intervention of then President Kufuor and UN then former Secretary General Kofi Annan to resolve the matter. We don't want that in Ghana. We don't. In fact, we don't even want to look at our horrendous history where on 1st February 1964, Ghana was declared a one-party state. When prior to that, a day before, there had been some elections where an overwhelming majority, probably 99.5%, voted that Ghana was alleged to have voted that Ghana is a one-party state. We don't want that to happen. So because of that, we are very alert. And I believe those who drafted the Constitution and also the Constituent Assembly that went into formulating the Constitution and the representatives of the people knew that we have to make sure that never again does this have to happen. Our Constitution must not be tampered with. It must reflect multi-party democracy, and it must reflect a specified term of office for presidential and other office holders and some limits. So we believe that there was a lot of thought which went into that, and we also had the referendum and prior to that in 92, and Ghanaians agreed to that. I don't think we should repeat anything. No, never again.
So where exactly do you stand? Those calling for a third term and those like Madam Ayana who thinks that maybe the 4 years we may have issues with it. You don't have enough time to do much. We can take it to 5. Where do you stand on the two arguments?
That the 1992 Constitution has worked over 40 years. This is the first time we've had a constitution in Ghana that has worked for, well, almost, let me see, 92
It's over 30 years.
So 33 years. Let's not mess around with our constitution. It was formulated by a consultative committee, a constituent assembly. There was a referendum in 92, and we came up with this constitution. Let's not tamper with it. We are too young to mess up with our stability. Let's not go the way that some other African countries have gone to. Cote d'Ivoire, our neighbor, Kenya, and many others. We have Cameroon, then we have, where's the other one? Uganda has issues. Please, let's be the star of Africa, the black star, the first country to win independence, and then also a model of the fact that multi-party democracy with specific limits to the terms of office of presidents should be, adhered to.
So, Madam Gloria Foribodo, are you saying that...
Just call me Auntie Gloria, please. My name is a mouthful.
Yes, it's okay. You're a lawyer. Are you saying that you probably are with the argument of those who claim if it's not broken, don't fix it? So the Constitutional Review Committee now should just ignore whichever proposals that have been submitted to it for this to be looked at after 33 years of using this Constitution, so we know what works for us better?
So many proposals have been submitted to the committee, but at the end of the day, the proposals on the specific limits of presidential terms is what I'm talking about, because there have been so many proposals that should not be tampered with. Considering our turbulent history, where we once had a one-party state, then the then president, declared by Parliament, majority Parliament as a life president, and we know what happened, the turbulence that happened till we got to our fourth republic, which is now very stable because of our constitution as at present.
But countries make progress, and people feel that in addition to the other issues that are in the Constitution that, like you've rightly said, people have submitted proposals for them to be reviewed. Perhaps this is also one of the areas that we must look at if we want to look at longevity and ensure that we are not truncating developments of the country just because a political party
What kind of longevity are you talking about? A lifetime president? What do you mean by longevity?
No, they talk about term. Of course, it doesn't mean that they should go on forever. They say perhaps we could consider 3 terms. Madam Ayana, like I just said, has also said that she doesn't agree in the 3-term tenure, as it were, for the presidency. She thinks 5-year term, and if that president performs well and is given a 2nd term, would work better for the country.
Well, that is Madam Ayana's opinion. And you have asked me for my opinion, and I've stated my opinion that never again should we tamper with our constitution and with the limits of the presidential term. Even the U.S., I watched President Trump when some persons, I think 3 or 4 persons, were asking that, oh, the constitution should be amended so that he runs a 3rd term. He said, no, it was, it was even funny. He thought it was so funny. Please, let's not be ridiculous. The world is watching us.
You think having this argument is ridiculous, or having this conversation is ridiculous?
Tampering with the presidential term limits as it stands right now, to me, it's funny. As President Trump would say, he said a 3rd term, that's ridiculous. He didn't. I mean, he thought it was funny and all that. So let's not tamper with that.
You do not want it touched. So how do you propose, for instance, that the country
is there something wrong with the status quo? Please, it's dangerous to tamper with it. And I keep repeating, history, my dear young lady, history. We have to study the history of our country and know what transpired. Our constitutional history has not been good.
I get that correctly.
And we have suffered as a country based on that. Look at how we have developed since the development since the 4th Republic. Just travel next door to Togo. See what is there. They have had the presidents who inherit, I think it's like a kingdom. And see the development, see the poverty levels. Compare it to what we have here. Compare the development here. Then cross Togo and enter Benin, which has been practicing multi-party democracy. In fact, in Benin, it was possible for one person, an independent candidate, to be voted to become president. That is former President Yaya Bonnet. So look at the development of Benin, the regulations, even when I see their motor riders with their passengers they all have their helmets, it's so orderly. Here we have motor riders with helmets and their passengers with no helmets, and it's fine. But in Benin, everything is regularized. Even the rivers, the waters look so clear. It's all because of multi-party constitutional democracy, where people have a say periodically in their choice of their presidents.
So the import of the question, before I come to my panel again for the final thought on this, is that there are people who feel that the 4 years may not be enough to do everything. So now that you don't support even we touching this, what do you recommend be done within the 4 years so that people are able to work effectively as possible within that term limit they have before the next election?
It has been happening since 92. In fact, since January 7, 1993, when the new government of President Rawlings was sworn in. What has been happening since 1996 elections, when the 2nd term of President Rawlings came in, then the Kufuor period from 2001 to 2009. What has been happening? We all live in Ghana. And what has been happening when the late President John Evans Atta Mills was sworn in, President Mahama was sworn in for a 1st term, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was sworn in twice, President Mahama has been sworn in again. Look at the developments, look at the measures, look at the economic indicators compared to some African countries. Look at the peace indicators. You want it to be tampered with. You want it to be tampered with. Don't even think about it.
And I'll come back to you, Madam Glory Furubwedu, and I'll get your comments very shortly as well, Madam Ayana and Madam Shamima Muslim. There's a comment coming from Dr. Bernard Tutubuahin, who is one of our regular panelists here. He says, good morning, B. The definition of longevity is living a longer and healthier life. It means how long a person is going to live and how healthy his later life will be. You can also understand the term longevity as a description of the state when a person lives beyond the average life expectancy. I think, okay, so he's talking about the term of office of a president. Doc, I'm trying to understand clearly the import, but yes, thank you for that. There's Prince Nanaya Oyok who says, good morning, Beatrice and everyone. Ghana doesn't require a 4-term extension. Instead, we need a 50-year national development plan. Its implementation should be evaluated against benchmarks, allowing Ghanaians to vote on progress. This way, whether NDC, UP, or NPP is in power, they can align their policies with the plan, making Ghana truly great. The absenteeism in Parliament, you remember last week I stated worrying they must get, okay. So thank you very much, Prince Nanaya, for your thoughts, but I'm coming back to you, Madam Ayana, because Madam Gloria Foribodi doesn't agree with the point that yes, we can go to the extent of a 5-year term within perhaps 10 years.
My suggestion of 5 years is because we do not have we are not dealing with the National Development Plan, even though it's there. You understand? People are not abiding by it. You see, this 3-year term, this 3-term will not help us. As politicians, even within our parties, we are always looking out for who is going to lead, and we kind of take allegiance towards that person and that kind of thing. You can just understand what's going to happen if one person is going to be there. Some people are just going to be like, we are not going to get anything, and there'll be apathy and all sorts of things. So the whole thing is, I think that if we think that the 4 years is not enough, then 5 years would be probably the best that we can do. But otherwise, I think that we should just put the National Development Plan agenda entrenched as a position in the Constitution, so that Ghanaians will all have to buy in it, all political parties will buy in it. The other thing is this: when we go out to vote, we are voting for NDC or MPP or UP parliamentarians, and then when we're going to say, we say, okay, the Mahama government, the NDC government, it doesn't really matter. If NDC gets a 3rd term, you understand, with a different leader, I don't think it's going to make much difference. They still have Mahama there, or you understand, to give advice and to lead. After all, when Mahama does well, we say the NDC is doing well. You get me? If NDC does well, then Mahama is doing well. So the whole idea is, if NDC wins a 3rd election with Mahama, a 2nd election with Mahama, without Mahama, it's okay. If they go on to win a 3rd election without Mahama, it's okay. What I'm trying to say is that
the individual has 2 terms per current
That's it. So when the individual is gone, the party still has more terms. The Constitution doesn't say the party cannot go as many times as possible. You get me? And the individual comes with the party. So if the party is doing well, the individual too is doing well. If the individual is excellent, it means the party too is excellent. You get me? So this 3rd term is not really important. I think that we should allow people, after they have ruled us and we have enjoyed them, let them go in
and I'm coming back to you, Madam Shamima Muslim. But there's
before we know, we'll be in one-party state, and then to be dictatorship, and then we'll have problems. No,
how is that going to happen?
It can happen.
There's a quote. I want to read this before I come to you, from Francis Nassis. He says, is it not the same woman who was having problem with the article that removed Tokonu, and she was asking something should be done about it? Hey, this woman is partisan. So that's referring to Madam Gloria Foribodi and her thought that the Constitution should not be touched. And just comparing it with her argument earlier about Gertrude Tokonu and her removal. But let me get your final thoughts.
Yes, but what is wrong with being partisan? We are in a multi-partisan democracy. We are not all of one party color. It's not a one-party state. So I'm very proud to belong to the party which is not in power, an alternate power party. So yeah, I even hope that with time independent candidates can also be strong, like as I referred to Yaya Bonet in Benin, who became a president. So there's nothing wrong with being partisan.
Well, Madam Gloria, for everybody's response to you there, Francis, but Madam Shamima Muslim, your final word on this.
What I'm just going to say is that the Constitution is a living document. The Constitution was created for us, by us. And with the way the world is going and moving, even if you look at other Western states, I mean, the U.S., if you take their constitution, it's a very small document.
Yes.
Everything else is added, and that is what pragmatism calls. If you take UK, which calls itself the mother of all democracies, they can change prime minister like they change their underwear.
Which means,
you know, a party is in government, but a prime minister can be changed. So the point is that it means the party must be respected to decide who leads it.
So you're citing the point of Madam Ayana?
No, not really. I'm saying that she's saying it's not very different. If a party goes to an election, a democratic election, so that's all about, you know, promoting more democratic processes in our political parties and strengthening our democratic processes so they are reflective of the wishes of the majority. Because if we place emphasis on the party, then it means we must trust that the party should be able to elect at any point in time the group of people they believe is best fit to lead the party. So yes, parties don't have term limits because they are the ones that go into an elections. But my point was that can we decide also or take a second look at who the party decides to lead it?
That is.
If it means it's Beatrice the party wants for election A, B, C, D, can the party decide that? How can the party decide that? That's just the small point. But again, where we are today is that we are running a multi-party system. It is a 2-term limit. President John Dramani Mahama is in a unique position to turn the leaf of our progress forward from the actions that he's taking so far. The Resetting Ghana agenda, it's a way of inviting us to review our progress thus far. Because a country cannot develop if it's not reviewing. So we must review, we must assess, and we must reform that which is not working. That is what pragmatism calls for.
Indeed.
And if it's not working, and I'm saying that we have the benefit of what has worked, the blueprints from different countries that we interact with, we trade with, we see, and if we cannot draw lessons from the collective experiences of the things that have worked and the things that Ghana is blessed, I know that, and we must trust the Ghanaian ultimately, but I also want to advocate for more informed decisions. Recently, China has brought about a law to say that to be an influencer, you must be an expert in the subject field that you are influenced, because the mind is so powerful and the media is such a powerful tool for conscientization that we shouldn't be willing to allow it to be used to destroy the mindsets of the people.
Indeed.
So once again, please support His Excellency's John Mahama's Reset agenda. He is engaged in some bold, creative, transformative things. He's reaching out, he's traveling, he's securing strategic partnerships. He's telling the world that Ghana is ready for mutually beneficial partnerships. Partnerships that will work, investments in our infrastructure. And today, yesterday he's in Paris.
I would really want you to wrap up this for me, please.
He's in Paris, and he did say something. He said even truth is infrastructure.
Indeed.
And we must invest in truth just as we invest in other forms of infrastructure.
And Nana,
that was really profound.
Yao Martin says, please don't throw dust into our eyes. America's history has been changed 27 times. There's absolutely nothing wrong in trying to amend Ghana's constitution so that it works best for us. But I want us to look at what we talked about earlier, the fact that the Attorney General also went ahead and charged Abdul Wahab Hanan, the former CEO of the Buffer Stock Company, and his wife and 2 other institutions for the financial malfeasance details that he gave us last week, $78 million Ghana cedis, and what the money was used for. And now more details emerging even about the wife, how much she received, about 13 million Ghana cedis. I just want to read briefly to you some of the charges, 24 of them So there's stealing, fraudulently causing financial loss to the Republic. There's money laundering, which is where the AG talked about the wife, Faiza Seiduwuni, allegedly receiving some 13 million plus Ghana cedis. Also, there's money laundering. Again, her name is mentioned, about 500,000 Ghana cedis. There is another form of money laundering between her and the husband, stealing, defrauding by false pretense. And there's dishonestly receiving, money laundering, among others. So, like I said, 24 charges filed by the AG against the individuals. Perhaps I should get first your thoughts, Madam Ayana, on this. We talked about this last week, and your expectations moving forward.
I think we dealt with this last week, and I said that I was sickened by it, I was appalled by it, and I still stand by it, that what's happened at the buffer stock is a disgrace, and it's something that should not go unpunished. 24 charges, that's a lot. I don't know how he's going to come out of it, but 24 charges is a lot. It just shows you how loose, I don't know what kind of word to use, our institutions are. It seems internal audits are not working in our institutions. And I even wonder if most of these institutions have auditors looking through their books, and we should be looking...
They are supposed to, because we're supposed to have internal and external
auditors. So let us also not just look at these people who have committed these offenses. Let's also take a look at those people who had oversight responsibilities to make sure that these things do not happen. The auditors. Who were the auditors? Did they audit? Did they see or didn't they see? We should also call them and ask them questions. We should be asking the bank managers who transferred those monies. Were they aware of money laundering laws? Did they abide by the rules governing such transactions? We should ask the bank managers. So there are so many people that should be roped in, not just Anan and his wife. You understand? All those people who also did wrong to enable Hanan to do what he did and his wife to do what they did must also be brought to book, so that it will serve as a deterrent to the financial institutions, that even though you take people's monies, there are rules and regulations governing how you deal with our monies. You understand? So that you don't see somebody moving such huge sums of money from a national maybe check into a personal one, and you don't ask questions. There's nothing. I mean, don't they have intelligence units within the banks? If they don't, they should. They should start having such people within the banks. Why is it that when you're going to certain banks abroad, like in the US, you're going to withdraw $10,000, you know, questions are asked?
There are limits.
There are limits.
How much money you can withdraw.
Exactly. So why is it that these people are able to withdraw these kinds of monies and yet nobody says anything? So we must also be looking at the banks. The banks must also be held liable. The bank managers, the bank itself, the auditors, the directors of such institutions, the accountants of such institutions, all of them must come under the radar of the Attorney General.
Let me get your thought, Madam Shamima Muslim. We have about 2 minutes.
Well, let me see what I can do in 2 minutes.
I have 2 minutes.
You know, when we have a country that seems to send subliminal messages that seem to promote corruption, this is how it manifests eventually on a daily basis. I've constantly heard this time say, everybody they chop for him work inside. And we say it and we laugh about it. And yet we know that at the workplace, indeed, people are chopping things they shouldn't chop. You see, it would also seem as if, and I want to address the press conference from the opposition insisting that the Attorney General seems to be declaring people guilty even before a competent court has had the chance to do same.
I think the AG himself has already addressed that.
The General cannot go to court on a docket if he does not believe the person is guilty of the charges that he's being, that he's proffering against them. So obviously, the Attorney General believes that there are wrongdoings per the evidence that is being shown to all of us. Whether or not those evidence will carry the day in court, because what is wrong may not be eventually determined to be a crime if you don't meet all the elements of a crime in court.
So that's where
that is why the Attorney General, but that would not erase the fact that these monies are missing. The second point
and I'll let you continue.
Make,
they feel that if you have evidence, just go to court.
And he's going to court.
Which is done.
And he is going to court. Remember that accountability is one of the 3 legs of the reset agenda. Its accountability is jobs and its prosperity. And the president has promised transparency exactly because of this. Exactly because he doesn't want one day anyone to wake up and say that we are engaged in witch hunt. Look, they're saying that we are declaring people thieves even before. The dominant narrative against all politicians, including me, everyone, is that we are thieves. That is the dominant narrative.
We are thieves.
And the dominant narrative also, the counter-dominant narrative is also that then we are all thieves. Because if you say that everybody is chopping from their work side, the civil servants, look at what is happening at the Public Accounts Committee hearings. Politicians, they come and go. There are civil and public servants that have been in the same place for 20, 30 years. There must be some grand corruption, grand collusion happening for some of these things to continue to happen. So what does the president do? The president calls on the Auditor General, he calls on the Chief Justice, and he calls on the police. That we cannot continue doing these public account hearings without, please, without consequence. So look, we are all guilty, all politicians, even though I have not stolen a CD. But when they look at me, they tell me that the perception is that I am there stealing. So now the job is to prove your innocence by actually not stealing. So that at the end of your term, when you are not hauled before any court, then you can hold yourself proud that when I took this post, I have become clean. So please do not be obsessed about saying you are not a thief, because the dominant narrative is that we are all thieves until we prove ourselves not to be thieves.
And that will be done within the court.
Accountability must happen. Look at the colossal sums involved.
Please, your time is up, so if you would kindly just wrap up for us.
My point is that the Attorney General, over 80 former government appointees are under various investigations. And the Attorney General will give everybody their right. The courts will grant everybody their right to self-defense. And they will have their day in court to defend some of these breaches that they themselves cannot run away from. What is sad is that the leadership of the New Patriotic Party is not scandalized about the amount involved in the National Service scandal, the amount involved in this buffer stock, the amount involved in the Edubuahini case, the amount involved in the ECG matter. They are not scandalized. They have no words of admonition for the finance minister, who is still today a fugitive of justice. What they are interested in is protecting members of their government who are under scrutiny. That is very sad.
Let me get your thoughts, 30 seconds maybe. Madam Gloria Foriboidu, your final thoughts.
I'm glad the AG is in court, but she should also remember that those operatives that he filed the nolle prosequi, that he did not wish to, prosecute, can always be recalled by the state. So he should look at that too. We need regulations, we need strong systems, not strong men and not strong parties. Now with the US, the 22nd Amendment puts a limit on the terms of office of the president. And this has been there since 1951, almost 75 years. We are just 33 years with our constitution. So let's be careful. That's my humble
Let's be careful. Thank you very much.
In our part of the world, we need strong men and strong institutions because the indiscipline
only men. Are you
is
not
too
a
much.
woman?
Thank you very much, Madam Gloria. Stephen Penn,
Strong men and
Stephen Penn
women.
from WA says, good
We need
morning,
both.
B. Imagine the presidential term was
We
longer
need
than
leaders.
it is
We
now.
need leaders.
The looting would have
We need
continued.
strong leaders.
And by the
We
end,
need leaders. We need strong leaders.
Okay, Madam Gloria,
We need
and Madam
leaders.
Shamima
We
Muslim,
need
please.
leaders.
Our time is up.
Leaders can be
Can
both
I read
men and
Stephen
women.
Penn's message?
And strong institutions.
Thank you very much, ladies. The looting would have continued, and by the end of the long term, the national kitty would have been empty without any detection. I support a longer term, but with an honest and responsible government like what we're witnessing today. That's coming from Stephen Penn Wa in the Upper West region. Thank you very much for your message. But I would like to say thank you very much to you, Madam Rodelyn Emuru Ayana, for joining us always, a public interest advocate. Thank you very much for joining us. Also to you as well, Madam.
You said you're not a member of the UP.
Also
you didn't transition
Madam
from the
Shamima Muslim,
No, I didn't transition.
Deputy Presidential
Then come to us,
Spokesperson. The woman you just watched via video call, Madam Gloria Foibwedu, who is Managing Legal Practitioner, GOB Law Consult. Thank you very much for joining us on The Big Issue today. My name is Beatrice Edu. Thank you as well to Eddie Joy Closet for my costume. But yes, pack up your day the Milky Way with the rich, smooth taste of peck milk shortcake. It is pure delight. And of course, you can grab that in any store near you. Stay with us. We're back with more.